Hi, and welcome to FortiGuard Live. I'm Anthony Giandomenico, aka Tony G, and I have here with me a good friend of mine, Aamir Lakhani, aka Dr. Chaos. How you doing, Aamir?
Man, I'm good, Tony G. Man, it's been a long time since me and you have spoken about security in one of these little casts.
Cool. Well, it's the holiday seasons, and we're all expecting a lot of really good gifts, but I think also there's a lot of gifts we might not be expecting. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that you're sort of seeing now and how the cybercrime actors are starting to focus in on how are they going to be able to take advantage of the holiday season and be able to convince you to click that link or download that attachment. So I know for me, I want to kick this off here. For myself, I'm getting a lot of, I don't know what I'm doing, if it's me or my wife, when I'm getting a lot of FedEx packages and I'm supposed to be picking those up and I'm getting them, via SMS messages. What's up with that?
Man, I think first of all, for your significant other, just stop them from shopping at all, and you'll be completely happy. Maybe you won't be completely happy. Maybe that'll cause some other issues. You're right. When the holiday season starts, it seems like every year we see a lot of attacks, and I know as cybersecurity professionals, a lot of us kind of dismiss that. We're like, hey, we've seen this every year for a long time. Yes, we know we're going to see attacks. Doesn't everyone know about that? And people still fall for that. It doesn't matter, even if you have a lot of experience. I think it's very easy to fall for a number of type of attacks. And the first one you mentioned, it's so funny, the smishing attack, the text messaging that you're getting. I literally got one this morning that said, hey, you have a UPS package waiting for you, and we can't confirm your address. Please go ahead and click on this link. Of course, I didn't click on this link, but we're seeing a lot of that. Normally what happens is you can have a lot of things that happen when you click on a link. First of all, it could be malware. That most common type is that steals your saved usernames and passwords. There's been a lot of flaws and a lot of unpatched systems that do that. And then other things it could be is just trying to steal usernames and passwords from a phishing site. It could also be someone trying to establish some sort of communication. They say, hey, we got this package. Unfortunately, we're really behind. We're not going to be able to deliver it for a couple of days. But if you want to prioritize it, hey, here's our Cash App, and please go ahead and send us some money. Sorry, my thing fell down, but hopefully we're okay. But it said, hey, please go ahead and send us some money, and we'll go ahead and prioritize your package. So we're seeing a lot of different types of attacks, happen just through text messaging. And you got to just be on your guard, because really what they're trying to do is, what the attacker's trying to do is, establish that connection with you, establish communications with you, and then from that standpoint, they can take that attack to different types of ways, from social engineering to technical attacks.
Yeah, what hit home for me, you mentioned kind of gleaning username and passwords and whatnot. And, I know as much as we say it, you're not supposed to be using the same kind of password and username as you would be, within your work environment. I know, for us, what we've seen is the adversary, when they're focused in on getting into an organization, they seem to already have valid, credentials. So kind of keep that in mind when you're trying to protect yourself, but you're also trying to protect the organization that you're working for, because they might be going after you to eventually be able to get into where you're working at. So I think that's always something to keep in mind as well.
Excellent. Tony, one time you told me that, when you do incident response engagements, you don't see hackers hack anymore. You see them log in these days. And that's what hackers are doing. They're logging in. They're using, stolen credentials. And a lot of times people are using the same passwords, or kind of the same password style, I would say, even if they're not using the exact same passwords. They're kind of using the same rules. And, attackers are establishing that. So that's one thing to kind of keep in mind, is when they are doing these phishing attacks, they're gathering information that can be used down the line on more severe types of attacks as well. So it's a good thing to remember. In general, I always say, like, if it's too good to be true, it probably is, right? Especially when we're seeing that with the holiday season. We're seeing like hard to get items, and like people, getting attacked on that because they're kind of emotionally invested in getting that one item that they really want for Christmas, and they get a a text message, or maybe even a fake website, or maybe even some advertisements on social media like X, Twitter, X, or Facebook or other places, saying, hey, you can get this item, maybe not at a website you normally go to, but it could be, but we have it available, so go ahead and go there. So there's a lot of different scams that come into place. One interesting thing that I'm starting to see from a high dollar standpoint is travel scams.
Yes.
Everyone wants to
Talk to me
travel,
about
right?
that.
We're all ready to travel. We're ready for a break. And who does not want to go to a great beach vacation for Christmas, right? Make it a sandy beach Christmas. At least I would want to do that, right? And but we're seeing a lot of just travel scams come in all over the place, from like travel deals to upgrades to hotels to someone saying like, hey, they can make the most efficient use of your mileage. And what attackers are trying to do is, first of all, if they get into your your mileage accounts, right, and they use that, it's very little you can do to get that back. A lot of times, usually those tickets are used, they're gone. If they're not used, maybe you'll be able to get it back, but it's very hard sometimes to work with the provider and basically fighting that kind of scam. A lot of times they're like trying to also get those credit cards that are already in those sites, book travel for other people, sell those tickets. A lot of travel scams are coming in, from fake websites to phishing to just stealing information.
Wow, sounds like that industry is booming right now. My gosh. And
Well, everyone wants to travel, right? And
yes.
you know what? Let's not forget the denial of service attack from the Mariah Carey song that you're gonna hear over and over again in your head. That is pretty much my personal denial of service attack, because like everywhere I go, like, and it's not even restaurants anymore. My nephews and nieces have discovered that song, so when they get in the car, they turn on that song, and that is my personal denial of service attack. But I'm not gonna go on that tangent. Let's stick with the cyber attacks.
Yeah, but I don't really know what you mean. Like which Mariah Carey song? Can you sing a few bars? Or no?
I hate you, but no,
No,
I'm not gonna
no.
go with that.
No, that's good. That's good. So the other thing I wanted to mention, and I would probably get in trouble if I didn't bring this up in any type of cyber conversation. It's around. Are you ready for it? So the drum roll, please. AI and ML, right? I
Wow,
know there's a
I
lot.
had no idea you were gonna go there.
There's a lot of focus on that these days, and I wanted to just kind of hear from you. With all the advancements, with that and what have you, with Chat GPT and everything else. Are you seeing that type of technology then being leveraged to increase the actual kind of chances for cybercrime during the holiday season?
So first of all, absolutely, AI is being used to increase cybercrime, and that is a difference that we're seeing this year. Is that it's being used very heavily across the board, and it's also invited a lot of new entrants into the field of cybercrime this year as well. A lot of attackers that wouldn't have normally done cybercrime this year are trying their hands at it in the holiday season, because they are using AI and GPT. And besides Chat GPT, which does have some safeguards built in, and policies around that, is there's a lot of other alternatives out there. Some on the dark net, some like on a clear text, open source tools, but there's a lot of things out there attackers are doing. Essentially, it's making the attacks more efficient, the language much more passable, much easier to fool you, and at the same time, just the frequency and the volume of attacks is increasing. They can automate that, especially when they incorporate automation, APIs, things like that. Put that with emails, email lists, add that to like a phishing toolkit. Now you got like a lot of volume going on, and it's going to work. It's going to work for a lot of people. So unfortunately, it's something that we're going to have to fight. We're going to have to be on the lookout for, and it's definitely going to make it a little tougher, I think, this year for the holiday season, for people to stay away from scams. Luckily, there's not one big like scam coming out. There's a lot of little scams coming up, so there's not that one big item like everyone wants. Like a couple of years ago, it was like the game station consoles. So now we kind of have like kind of a lot of general scams across the board.
Yeah.
But that's also a little more difficult to catch and to narrow down, because there's so much variation on those general scams that a lot of attackers are casting a much wider net.
Yeah, it just seems like the barrier of entry as we get more and more advanced with this technology it's not even there anymore. I mean, it's so easy now, I guess, to get into a life of cybercrime, which is I guess a bit scary. So I know we talked a little bit about some of the downside stuff, but there's got to be some upside. How can we start to help be able to protect our own ourselves from a, personal perspective, but also, in the end, the organization that you're working for, I'm sure the things that you're doing on the personal side could benefit from, them in the organizations that they're working for, and not allowing the adversaries to get into the network by getting their username and passwords and what have you. So, what are some different types of tips that you may have for some of the consumers out there?
Well, just my personal tips, right? When I'm shopping, I go to like legitimate like websites or well-established websites, even if they may not have the best deals, right? But like I'm going to the big boys that are out there, right? And that's good. There's big boys in every industry, right? It's not just Amazon, but there's big boys in every industry. So I would go to those websites first. Once again, you may not be getting the best deals, but you're probably protecting yourself. I always try and use a credit card on these websites as well, and instead of a debit card.
Not a debit card, yeah.
And if you can, there are a lot of banks, including a lot of services that will do kind of the temporary credit card numbers. If you can use those. But just remember, when you use those, especially if you're using a service that's outside your bank, you may not have the same credit card protections that you do from a fraud standpoint. So just double check against that. With all the big guys, you do. So no issues if you're using any of the established guys, or usually using a bank that's just generating a virtual card number on your existing credit card number. So no issues there. The other thing is just make sure that you're patched. And I say this with pretty much every cybersecurity, advice that I can give anyone is make sure you have the latest patches, and make sure you're not logged in as admin. If you can do those two things, you'll probably just eliminate a lot of like malware, or the capability of what malware can do once it's on the system. And if you can do that, that's always a good thing. So I would definitely say look out for those two things. And then lastly, be aware of social media scams. And that's not only online on the social media platforms, but that's like, as you said, on looking at search. Like if you're doing a quick search, attackers, it's very easy for them to like establish and like rank up on search, results as well. Same thing with the text messaging and WhatsApp messages and things like that. Be aware of that. Does it really make sense that you got, a text message from UPS saying pay an amount of money to expedite? Has that ever happened in your life before? If it hasn't, well, it's probably fake this time, right? So look out for those things. And I think those are the things that always get my mind thinking when I see those. And as I said, I think the best thing you can do is also just pay attention. Pay attention to what you're doing. That's when most attacks occur, is like when we're a little distracted, when we're a little excited, when we're a little like pressed for time, we're not paying attention.
Yeah, I'd also add in there, I thought it was worth adding. I know we're kind of coming up on time here, but I think another one is, some of the elderly, where, we can kind of, we can focus in on that stuff. But I think it's also, important for, the elderly as they kind of start to age. I think the adversaries are really kind of focusing on those folks who can fall for those scams a little easier. So in your family, you got folks that are getting older and what have you, educate them as well on the different types of things that, they should be looking out for. Oftentimes, I know my mom, she's fallen for many scams, before, and, have to keep talking to her over and over again about it. So I think it's important also to pass what you just said down to, some of your family members that might be moving up in age and stuff. So, I thought that was important to mention. So
yeah, it is definitely the time where we think more about giving back to the community. And if you can, as you said, the elderly are unfortunately targeted very often. And if you have an opportunity to help out, whether it's like joining different types of groups or centers and do a little bit of education. Mm-hmm. I mean that education. I mean, Fortinet has education out there that's pre-made at training.fortinet.com. Level 1 is just education awareness, right? But like a lot of people are not going to know that, especially like, my mom's not going to know that unless I bring that to her attention and teach that to them. So if you can't do that, I think that's always being a better net citizen. So that's always a good thing.
Cool. All right, here. So to kind of close it up here, let me see if I remember this now. So, some of the actual kind of tips here is, make sure you stay with the big boys, right? I mean, you don't be going to any of these kind of different types of like sites that aren't really as familiar. So, stay with the ones that you kind of currently know when you're trying to buy things online. use regular credit cards, right? I mean, you don't want to be using these kind of, like debit cards and what have you. Make sure you patch your environment. When you're logging in, don't log in as an administrator, log in as a regular user. And also be sort of on the guard, or at least kind of up to date with a lot of the different types of scams that are happening these days, specifically on getting kind of text messages from your SMS now, which you see a lot of kind of these days. And just overall, just kind of pay more attention, kind of click before you sort of think before you click, I think is very important. So any other thing else you wanted to cover, Aamir, before I kind of close it?
No, I think that's good. Like I said, one other thing I guess I will add real fast is let's not forget about the travel scams, just because a lot of people will be traveling, and just be aware, especially if you're going to a destination, especially a different country or something. There's travel scams that usually start at the airport, right, with the fake taxi cab drivers and things like that. So I know a lot of people, especially me in the past, so we've gone to like different countries and stuff for a quick holiday, but just be careful about that. That's also a pretty big attack vector for a lot of people out there.
Awesome. Well, I think that about ends it. Always good speaking with you, Aamir. And if you want to find out more about these types of kind of conversations around the holiday season, or any type of threat information, what have you, feel free to go to Fortinet.com. /blogs. Got a lot of really good, valuable information in there. So until next time, we'll catch y'all later.